Good day, folks. Welcome back to Ed's Garage at Merton Hyundai. Today we are doing a beautiful crimson red 2022 all-new Tucson in the preferred trim with all-wheel drive. Very excited to show you all of the features on this beautiful car. Now this, of course, is completely redesigned, but there's a few things that I want to mention before we get too far into the features. The Tucson gives you a few things that you just don't get in other vehicles in its class. For one, a better warranty. So 5-year, 100,000 K comprehensive coverage warranty, which covers most of the vehicle's components for that full 5-year, 100,000 kilometers. Of course, you get 5 years of roadside assistance with that as well. But a little bit of a cool design choice on the back I want to show you real quick. You'll notice there's no window wiper anywhere here. It's actually tucked up and hidden way under here, so you can't really even see it unless it's on, which is pretty cool. Also, the reclining rear seats. You got multiple positions of seat recline. If you look at other vehicles like the Rogue, the CR-V, the RAV4, they have basically two positions and it's not a lot of movement. So a couple of really cool things to note on the vehicle. On top of that, of course, Hyundai being the only company that manufactures their own steel, you got way more advanced high-strength steel usage on these, way more structural adhesive used on these versus the competition. And you know, it shows. We're getting great reviews on quality and dependability and safety. Hyundai is now the safest company in the world. It's got more top safety picks than any other company. But yeah, let's go over some of the features on this beautiful 2022 Tucson. So first off, obviously the completely new redesigned front grille. Now you'll notice that these are actually daytime running lights and they kind of merge into the grille, which looks really cool. You got LED headlights and high beams, as well as, of course, your air curtain pass through there to reduce aerodynamic drag. It actually creates a curtain of air over these really nice aluminum alloy wheels. Now, these are actually a 17-inch wheel. They're an all-season tire, mud and snow rated, of course. You'll notice we've got the marker lights in the mirrors, as well as the blind spot monitoring, and you've got the button on the door handles for the proximity entry, so you can just press that. Press it once, it locks or unlocks the door. Press it twice, it unlocks all the doors. I think I pressed it twice a little bit too quick there. All right, new cool design that'll been going on here. Now, of course, looks are subjective. I think it's a gorgeous vehicle. I hope you guys will agree. Coming around to the back, of course, you see we got the backup camera here. This one, of course, is equipped with the H-Track all-wheel drive system. So another really cool benefit of Hyundai's is you got that H-Track all-wheel drive. It's a proactive all-wheel drive system, part-time. It's designed and engineered right here in Canada by a company called Magna International. And what it basically does is it predictively puts power to the rear wheels even before it becomes necessary. So it doesn't wait for the front wheels to start slipping before it transfers power to the back. Under any sort of acceleration, it's already putting power to the back. Now, when the front slips, of course, it does the same thing, and it can transfer up to 50% of the power to the rear at any time. So this one, being the preferred trim, if you watched the video that I did on the luxury hybrid, you would have noticed that there was no spare tire. In this one, you do get a spare tire, but I will point out that the floor actually, while it does go down to a lower level, it only drops down a couple inches versus the hybrid luxury, it actually dropped down a good amount, about 4 inches if I remember correctly. So there you go. So that's the floor going into its lower setting there. And then, of course, when the floor is in its upper position, it's a nice smooth transition from the trunk or from the bumper to the floor to the back seat when you put the seat down with the convenient seat release latch. All right, so there are the seats folded down in their lowest position, so lots of space back here. Of course, you do get cargo net tie downs. There's one in the corner here, one on either side, and you get the 12-volt power outlet as well. So if you have like a powered cooler or whatnot, you can use that there. Now, you can also get, of course, the privacy cover, which locks into those positions there. And the privacy cover even has its own little home right there. So you can see there's a little square there, same as the squares up here. So you can actually put the privacy cover under the floor so that it's out of way, out of sight, out of mind when you're not using it. All right, so going into the back seat, now I want to point out what you used to have to do before to lift the seat back up, because they lock in, was you used to have one hand on the handle and then one hand on the seat to lift it. It was a two-handed operation. Now you can simply pull the handle, and look at that, it goes back up. And you'll notice as I move the seat up and down, the bottom of the seat actually crouches down to get out of the way in order to make the seat backs fold down flatter. All right. Now what's really cool about these seats, you can see it's got a nice little design in there. It's not a boring seat by any means. Of course, these are cloth, and they're a nice cloth. They're well made, very durable. Of course, you got a bottle holder in the door here. All right, so sitting in the back of the Tucson, you'll notice I've got a ton of headroom. I've got this nice cup holder armrest here that's nice and cushy, and it doesn't actually sit down on the seat bench. So it's actually got a nice engineered stopping position for it there. Look at how much legroom I have in front of my knees. It's just crazy. And I can slide my feet underneath the seat as well. I've also got 2 vents back here. And as I was mentioning earlier, we have crazy amounts of recline on this seat. And I think there's 9 positions. Let's just count them here. I'm going to start at the very, very top. Okay, there it is, locked in. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. Yeah. So instead of just having 2 positions for the seat back, it's 9 positions. How crazy is that? All right, let's check out under the hood. All right, so this Tucson, the Preferred trim, is powered by a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. It's a gas direct injection model. However, it also has multi-port injection. So for any sort of high power requirements, it's going to be GDI. For low power, kind of putting around the city, it's going to be multi-port injection. So what that means is essentially it's a dual injector setup, which I might be able to show you here if we have a look. All right, so you can see the actual multi-port injection ports here, and you can see on the fuel rail it says GDI plus MPI. The GDI injectors, they're going to be further down where you can't see them from the top of the engine. So that basically means you get a nice clean burn with the GDI, and with the multi-port injection you get the valves covered in fuel, which cleans them off, because with GDI engines traditionally, unfortunately, what we'd run into is carbon buildup on the back side of the valves right above the pistons. Above the cylinders. However, with multi-port injection, because it's mixing fuel with the air before it goes through the valves, it's keeping those valves nice and clean. So you get the best of both worlds, which is kind of cool. And that's called Hyundai's SmartStream technology. Now, what we also have on this engine is CVVD, or continuously variable valve duration. So it's able to keep those valves open or closed however long it needs to get the best power consumption, or best power and best fuel consumption. So you've heard of variable valve timing, probably, but variable valve timing basically changes when the valves open or close. This changes not only when they open or close, but also how long they stay open for or how long they stay closed for. So all of that combined means better fuel consumption and better power. This new engine in the Tucson produces 187 horsepower, or about 11 or 12 horsepower more than the outgoing model. Now, one thing I want to point out while we're looking under the hood is just how clean everything is. Now, a couple things to point out here. First of all, structural adhesive usage. Okay, now you're going to see this in other vehicles as well, but Hyundai uses hundreds of feet of structural adhesive, and other companies use tens of feet. What that means is basically the connection between these 2 panels here, which is spot welded, is going to be a heck of a lot stronger thanks to that structural adhesive. But also something as simple as this here, the little sort of dust/leaf, blocker. It's actually a nice, solid, engineered, rubbery product. Check that out in other vehicles, and you'll find a lot of them use like something that looks like a dollar store sponge. But yeah, just something as simple as that is high quality. Even the cover down the side of the fender here, you're going to see basically bare metal or painted metal on other vehicles. We've also got nice fiberglass insulation on the hood and fiberglass insulation in the back there on the firewall to reduce engine noise and reduce road noise. Breakaway motor mounts mean that in an accident, the engine drops to the floor, doesn't end up on your lap, God forbid. And if you ever want to change your own air filter, check out how easy it is to change out the air filter. Look at that, there's your air filter. Just a few seconds of work and you can put your own air filter in. Pretty cool technology under here. All right, let's move on to the inside of the vehicle and check out the features in the front. All right, before I jump into the front, I'm going to go ahead and remote start the car because the Tucson now finally has remote start. Beautiful. Now, I want to show you something really cool with the remote start system. First off, the door is currently unlocked. As I walk up to the door, you won't be able to see it now because it's too bright, but there's actually a light in the door handle, so that door handle lights up at night, which is kind of cool. I can open the door simply by pressing the button on the door handle. When I get into the vehicle, however, this is where it gets really cool. You'll notice the vehicle is still off. As soon as I close the door and put my foot on the brake, boom, the car is now running. I did not hit the start button. So one thing you'll find in other vehicles with the remote start is you always have to get in and then start the car anyway. Now, the engine might be running, but you might have to start the electronics by pressing the start button or turning the key. Hyundai basically has designed a system whereby it just recognizes the key is in the car and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about starting it again. All right, let's go over some of the features here. Pretty cool. We're going to start in the center and kind of work our way up. So obviously we do have heated seats. That's pretty much standard in any Hyundai product now. You got a heated steering wheel, and it is a full 360-degree heated steering wheel all the way around. All right, further forward you have the power e-brake. Now this one has the auto hold system as well. Not sure if you can see that with the sunlight there. So auto hold basically will hold the vehicle from moving forwards or backwards when you come to a stop, whether or not you're on a hill. You've also got hill descent assist, so up to 40 kilometers an hour. Hill descent assist will bring the vehicle down to 8 kilometers an hour using the brakes, and it'll hold it there. You've got drive and terrain modes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the different drive modes. So when I flick that little switch here, it's going to change the drive mode that you see on the instrument cluster. So we got Eco, Normal, Sport, and Smart. Now Smart mode, basically it's going to look at how you're driving and adjust accordingly. Sport mode is going to tighten up the steering wheel and give you a little bit more low-end kick. Normal is going to be normal, and Eco mode is going to save you some fuel on the highway. Not really designed for city use, but that's what that's it for. Now if we press the terrain button and then move the little switch up and down, you've got snow, mud, and sand. Oop, I accidentally hit the other button by accident there. So with the snow, mud, sand button, basically what that's going to do is it's going to use the all-wheel drive system, the traction control, stability control in different ways so that they're more effective in that type of terrain. All right, further up now, you'll notice this one actually has a shifter. So other Hyundai or other Tucsons in the hybrid trims only have the little push button transmission. So if you don't like the push button transmission for some crazy reason, now I say crazy because I love the push button transmission. I think it's fantastic. But if you just can't live with it, well, there is Tucsons available with the shift stick. All right, looking further forward, we have 2 USB ports. One can be used for playing music from a flash drive, or if you have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, that and your phone is incapable of wireless, you can plug it into there for that. You've got a charging connection here for your passenger, and then of course you've got the 12-volt power outlet right next to it. A little bit further up, you can see we've got the climate control center. Now it's not automatic climate control in this trim level, but you do of course get air conditioning. Now, the really nice, lovely 8-inch screen here, which I will point out is not polarized. You can use polarized sunglasses while driving this car and you'll be able to see the small screen in the center of the instrument cluster as well as the screen here. So Hyundai is not using polarized screens. It's a big deal if you're the type of person who likes to wear polarized sunglasses, myself included. All right, we do still have knobs in this vehicle for volume and for tuning. Now in the higher trim levels with the larger 10-inch screens, you don't get the knobs there, but I will point out that these buttons actually are quite good. They're very responsive, just like the screen, right? You can actually just mash the buttons on the screen and it works quite well, assuming you hit them properly. Now it's got HD radio as well, so you'll get a little bit more signal information from your radio station. And if we go into the setup here, I'm going to show you something kind of cool. Under sound, not only do you have sound position and sound tuning, you've also got a feature whereby it lowers the audio volume when you're in drive. It actually keeps it at a limit. It does the same thing when you're in the parking assist view. So if you have the little camera on like that, or the backup, the vehicle's in the reverse system and the backup camera comes on, you can actually have it automatically lower the volume. Now, one thing I was going to show you though was, check this out. So radio noise, you can reduce radio noise. There's a maximum and a minimum setting. So if you have a lot of background hissing, whatnot, it'll actually try to compensate for that as much as it can. Pretty neat. Also in here, you've got access to your BlueLink settings. So of course this vehicle comes with 3 years of free BlueLink in Canada. So BlueLink, that's a system whereby you can remotely start your car from your cell phone. You can unlock the doors, lock the doors, find the vehicle on a map, that sort of thing. But it also gives you some emergency features as well. So you'll notice up here we've got an SOS button and a roadside assistance button. The SOS button you can press if you have an emergency or see an emergency, and you'll be put in touch with emergency services. If you get into an accident, God forbid, emergency services will automatically come to your location because they'll know where the car is, and it'll place that call for you, so you don't have to think about it. It's pretty cool. You've also got the wireless setting for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly. So how cool is that? So you get into the car, your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto pops up on the screen. You don't have to connect it, you don't have to plug it in. Assuming your phone is capable of that, it'll be wireless. Now, again, versus the CR-V, the RAV4, the Rogue, even the CX-5, the only vehicle of those ones that I just mentioned that has wireless anything is the Rogue. It has wireless CarPlay, it does not have wireless Android Auto. The Tucson has wireless both, so pretty cool. All right, now let's go to the radio screen real quick here. So you notice I've got all my presets on the left-hand side here, but if I switch to AM and I create a preset there, sorry, like that, I've changed how that works. So if I change if I set a preset, you'll notice it's now on the left-hand side. If I switch over to Sirius XM radio and I put a preset there, again, all on the left-hand side. So I don't have to worry about switching to the different bands first. I can actually just jump to a different preset regardless of what band it's on. Pretty cool. In here you can also quickly enter a station. If you want to quickly go to like a different FM station, you could type it in manually. You can also just turn the display off here. Let me just press the power button to turn it back on. You can play media directly from your Bluetooth device or USB stick. And you've got a favorite button here, which I really like because I always put that on phone projection. So if you want to get back to the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto screen really quick, you can just hit the little star button there. All right, let's check out some of the buttons on the steering wheel. So this one does have the button for voice recognition. Now when you press it without a phone connected to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it doesn't actually do anything. But it does have the option to open up the Google Assistant or the Siri Assistant on an iPhone. Of course, you got your typical, answer phone button. This button, of course, is the same as the button on the steering wheel. Same as the custom button here, in that you can change what you want it to do. So there's a few options here. You can actually have end call, so you can make that a hang up button if you want, or you can actually change the type of call to a hands-free or privacy. You can even have it just do a quick voice memo. So a customizable button on the steering wheel. On this side we have your cruise control buttons here. Now this is the adaptive cruise adjustment setting, so you can actually change how far the vehicle follows the vehicle in front of you when you're on cruise control, because this vehicle, even though it's not the top trim, it's actually only the second trim level up, it has adaptive cruise. Pretty cool. You've also got lane follow assist. So not only does it have lane keep assist, it even has lane follow assist. So at pretty much any speed, this vehicle is capable of seeing the lines in the road and adjusting accordingly and steering accordingly. Obviously, it's not an autonomous vehicle, but it's a very, very powerful technology that allows you to, look away from the road for a second if you want to change a radio station or whatever, and it'll do a little bit of work to try to keep you in your lane and centered. Now, the other two buttons here all control that little center screen. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera here so you can see that. All right, so what I'm doing here, basically you'll notice along the top of that center screen, there are 4 icons. To cycle through those 4 icons, I'm pressing this top button. Now, if I'm in a particular screen and it has other submenus, I can actually cycle between those submenus by using this up and down rocker switch. And then this is also an OK button, which I'll get to in a second. All right, so let's start at the one on the left. So we've got the lane departure, lane keep assist screen. And it also will have our adaptive cruise information there as well. Basically, it'll put little lines in front of the car indicating how far we're following the car in front of us. And that, of course, is adjustable again with that button there. If I go down one, it shows us our attention level. So this vehicle can actually monitor our attention level and give us a reminder to take a break if it figures out that we're getting a little bit too tired. On the next screen over, we've got your digital speedometer. We've got your trip A, trip B, accumulated trip, and then an auto stop timer. And all of these can be reset by holding the OK button, with the exception of, oh no, the accumulated one does too. And then the last one on this list is the digital speedometer, which we can change to miles per hour as well, simply by holding down that OK button. Put that back on kilometers, there we go. All right, let's press the top button again. Takes us over to the user settings. I'm going to show you a few things in here that are kind of cool. So driver assistance, warning timing. If you are coming up behind a car too quickly, not only does it have autonomous emergency braking, it also has forward crash warning alert, which you can change from normal to late if you want it to wait till the last possible millisecond. can change the volume there. The driver attention warning we just went over, but this is kind of cool. Leading vehicle departure basically means that if you're sitting there at a light and the car in front of you takes off, this car will actually give you a little bit of a reminder to say, hey, start going. Forward safety, active assist, of course, so that's the autonomous emergency braking. In the lane safety, we can see we've got assist, warning only, and off, so that's the lane keep assist system. Blind spot safety, so it has the exit warning system. So if you're, the best way to explain this is if you just parallel parked and you have a car coming down the road on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, if it determines that it's unsafe to exit the vehicle, it'll actually warn you before you open the door, or as you're opening the door, that there's a car coming. So not to step out and basically get run over. All right, so that's the active assist there that you can see, that's the blind spot safe exit warning. The active assist means that not only does this vehicle have the blind spot warning in the mirror, but it'll also brake. So if you are driving down the freeway, the highway, and you want to move over to the other lane, if there's a car there, not only will you get an audible warning and a light in your mirror, but it'll even pull you back into your own lane using the opposite side's brakes if you're starting to drift over to that other vehicle. All right, also in here we've got the cluster, so you can actually change some of the things with the cluster. You can have the welcome sound come on as well. You can even change the wallpaper, which you'll notice here. It's going to change a little bit as we cycle through that. I like wallpaper B, so we'll put it on that one. The illumination level, no big deal. One touch turn signal, you can have it flash 3 times, 5 times, or 7 times. That's just when you quickly tap the signal there, it'll flash on its own for a few times. Headlight delays, it keeps the headlights on for a while. It has high beam assist, so using that forward-facing camera up there, it'll detect vehicles in front of you and shut your high beams off and then back on once they've passed by. Let me see, what else is cool in here? We've got the welcome light I mentioned earlier, comes on as you approach the vehicle. You can change the units of measurement, so your speed to miles per hour, temperature to Fahrenheit, tire pressure to kilopascal, that sort of thing. All right, and then our last screen is the tire pressure warning screen and the all-wheel drive screen. So you'll notice here, I'm going to go ahead and put it into drive. I want you to see what happens. As I was mentioning earlier, the all-wheel drive system puts power to the rear wheels. Straighten out the wheels here. You'll notice actually I can tell which way the wheels are pointing. But the all-wheel drive system puts power to the rear wheels under any acceleration. So check this out, just moving slowly, and you can see the blue lines popping up at the bottom of the screen because it's applying power to the rear wheels right away. So very nice technology. It's not waiting for the front wheels to slip. Now, we're not the only company that has a system that's doing that, but there's only a few. I think Nissan's actually the only other company, maybe GM, but I don't believe the Toyota RAV4 or the Honda CR-V do that. At least they don't do it in the Honda HR-V. So pretty nice all-wheel drive system, very, very well engineered. And of course, that in combination with the stability control and the traction control, this vehicle is unstoppable in the snow. It's actually pretty amazing what it'll do in the snow. All right, so moving on, there's only a couple more things here. It's not an auto-dimming mirror. There's actually a little button in there. Up here, as I mentioned, you got the buttons for the roadside assistance and the SOS. You can have the lights on individually, lights on when the doors open, or lights on all the time. Both of the sun visors slide out, and they both have mirrors, and they both have lights, which do turn off automatically when you close the sun visor. Sorry, I wasn't actually looking at it. All right, so that pretty much covers all the features on the Preferred trim. If you haven't already done so, I invite you to check out the other video on the Tucson Luxury that I did. I'll link it in the description below. Guys, thank you so much for getting to this point. I know it's a longer video. When I go over all these features, there's a lot to talk about. But if you did watch the whole video, if you did like it, and you want to see future videos, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you again so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.